an ancient tomb from the Ming Dynasty more than 400 years ago, almost the same size as an emperor's tomb. The tomb owner is the younger brother of the famous Emperor Wanli, and he has been favored by his brother since he was a child. The stone structures of the cemetery are well preserved, but the underground palace has been completely looted. What has this tomb experienced in the past 400 years? This is the story of this ancient site. On the outskirts of Xinxiang City, Henan Province, China, lies a tomb from the Ming Dynasty. The tomb owner is Zhu Yiliu, and his brother is Zhu Yijun, the 13th emperor and the longest reigning emperor of the Ming Dynasty for 48 years. These 14 pairs of stone sculptures show the extraordinary status of the tomb owner. In addition to sheep, elephants, lions, camels, and tigers, there are some mythical creatures, and 2 pairs of stone statues of government officials. The Ming Dynasty ruled China for nearly 3 centuries, from 1368 to 1644, with 16 emperors. Generally speaking, an emperor has many sons, but only one can inherit the throne. What to do with the other sons is an important issue. Zhu Yuanzhang, the founding emperor of the Ming Dynasty, chose to let his other sons serve as regional military and administrative chiefs across the country to defend the regime. However, after his death, his son Zhu Di rebelled and proclaimed himself emperor. From then on, every emperor was worried that something like this would happen again. Therefore, senior local officials across the country were appointed by the central government instead, and the princess no longer had any power. That said, these princes could still live a luxurious life and hold the title of regional king. Moreover, their throne can be passed down from generation to generation. As long as they did not show political ambitions, they would not be suspected by the emperor. Zhu Yiliu, the tomb owner, was born in 1568. He was 5 years younger than his brother, the later Emperor Wanli. The elder brother had been designated the heir to the throne, so he had to be a king elsewhere. This is the rule of the Ming Dynasty. Therefore, at the age of 20, he came to Weihui, 600 kilometers away from the capital, Beijing. According to historical records, after the prince arrived here, he spent a huge amount of money to build a residence and asked for various properties from the local government. Relying on the emperor's favor, the local government and the people had no choice but to obey him. No wonder he could build such a large cemetery for himself. The size and the layout of this tomb are similar to those of the Ming Dynasty Emperor's mausoleum in Beijing, except that the wooden buildings no longer exist. There used to be a grand hall at this place, where memorial ceremonies were held, and judging from these pillar foundations, it was originally quite large. These stone sculptures symbolize offerings, and we will see similar items in the underground palace. Through this stone tablet, we learn the identity of the tomb owner. Originally, there should have been a wooden pavilion outside this stone tablet, but it has been destroyed. Below this circular structure is the underground palace. Frankly speaking, the underground palace is not deep, only about 4 meters. This staircase was of course built in modern times. It used to be a ramp, and it was backfilled after the tomb owner was buried. This arch is the entrance to the underground palace. There used to be no gate here, only a screening wall, and the wall is gone now. In other words, the outside of this wall is full of dirt, and the inside is the tomb chamber. This is where tomb robbers broke down the wall and entered the tomb. This corridor is equivalent to the porch of a house, and burial goods are generally not placed here. This arch is the real gate. There were originally a pair of stone doors. We can see that there is a little groove in the ground. Originally, a stone bar was holding up the stone doors from the inside to ensure that the doors could not be pushed open from the outside. This is a very ingenious mechanism that can also be observed in the tombs of the Ming Dynasty emperors. Tomb robbers usually had to break the stone doors to enter the tomb chamber. Zhu Yiliu, the tomb owner, died in 1614, and 30 years later the Ming Dynasty fell. To win over the people, the succeeding Qing Dynasty protected the tombs of the Ming emperors. However, hundreds of royal tombs across the country were no longer guarded, and many were robbed. This tomb is among the lucky ones. A Buddhist monk bought the entire courtyard from the government and transformed the cemetery into a temple. As a result, many buildings were preserved for nearly 3 centuries until, at the beginning of the last century, China again fell into chaos. According to local villagers, a group of bandits robbed the underground palace in the 1930s. Some people even claimed to have seen bandits taking away several sacks of treasures. We cannot verify these claims, but there must be rich burial objects in the tomb, and many of those treasures should have been placed in the 2 chambers on the left and right. The stone coffin of the tomb owner is placed on the platform of the back chamber. The coffins on the left and right belong to his wife and concubine. These 2 square stones are epitaphs. They are worthless to tomb robbers, but from them we can learn about the tomb owner's life. These large wooden boxes are replicas, and the burial objects were originally inside. Archaeologists only found some gold and jade pieces in the tomb chamber, which were missed by tomb robbers. The layout of the entire underground palace is similar to that of his brother Emperor Wanli, only smaller. By the way, Emperor Wanli's underground palace is also open. I will leave the link in the description. Zhu Yiliu, the tomb owner, was not a famous figure in history, but the scale of his tomb far exceeds his identity and status. According to the regulations of the Ming Dynasty, the prince and concubines could only be buried together in the same tomb, but he built a large cemetery nearby for his favorite concubine that was almost the same size as his own, with an even larger underground palace. And that is what we will see in the next episode.